Take a live look at the Potomac River right now in the Washington, D.C. area, where a barge is in place and a crane is there to hoist some of the wreckage from last week's deadly midair collision out of the water. It is the same crane that was previously used to remove debris following the Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore.
And then in Philadelphia, the cockpit voice recorder was recovered from a medical jet that crashed into a busy Philadelphia neighborhood on Friday. 7 people died in that crash, 6 in the plane and 1 on the ground.
So let's bring in Eyewitness News reporter Lindsay Tuchman. I know you've been following both of these tragic crashes. Lindsay, what's the latest?
Yeah, so the investigations into both of those 2 fatal crashes continues today as the families continue mourning their loved ones today. The National Transportation Safety Board has a lot of questions to answer as the recovery effort moves into a new week. Salvage operations underway this morning in D.C. as crews work to recover the wreckage from an American Airlines plane and a military helicopter after the 2 collided mid-air last week, killing all 67 on board and 3 Black Hawk soldiers. It was a solemn scene Sunday as dozens of victims' families gathered for a memorial on the runway at Reagan National Airport.
These people have suffered a terrible loss. I will say that they are a strong group of families that are focused on getting their loved ones back.
Investigators now working to determine if there were discrepancies in the tower radar seen by air traffic control, which may have indicated the helicopter was at the wrong altitude.
Initial data indicates that he may have seen 200 feet. That needs to be verified.
Meantime, in Philadelphia, investigations continue in another fated flight. Investigators there have located the cockpit voice recorder of the medical jet that crashed Friday, killing all 6 on board, as well as 1 person on the ground. It plummeted less than a minute after taking off from Northeast Philadelphia Airport.
It's going to be a real challenge to be able to take those black boxes apart and see if there's anything left that can be read out.
Well, the NTSB is expected to hold a news conference later this afternoon with updates on the D.C. crash, hopefully answering some of those questions. Meanwhile, the FAA is investigating another scary situation. A jet full of passengers headed to LaGuardia Airport here in the New York area feared for their lives as their plane caught fire in Houston before takeoff. Video from passengers shows flames shooting out of one of the engines just as the flight was about to take off Sunday morning. The pilot aborted the takeoff and passengers were evacuated off the plane using slides and stairs. 104 passengers and 5 crew members were safely evacuated as emergency crews arrived.
What really got me was when we were speeding towards, getting on the air, the sudden stop.
Before the plane took off, I was listening to gospel music, and I was praying, just take us there safely.
Well, passengers were eventually placed on another flight heading to LaGuardia later in the day. That flight arrived safely here in New York. Now, of course, all of these incidents happening at once is very frightening. Experts remind people, though, traveling in the air on planes is still the safest mode of transportation, but it's something just to keep alert of and keep in mind.
They definitely have
It's
a heightened
reminder.
sense.
Yeah,
An important one.
Getting on a plane in a few hours, so it's good.
Please travel safe.
A reminder that it is safe. So thank you for bringing us that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Lindsay.